Hi, we're Richard and Jackie from Early Retirement Wanderlust. If you've seen any of our previous videos, you will know that we are coming towards the end of a 7-week road trip in our VW campervan around northern Spain and Portugal.
And sadly, it's time for us to set off for home. You can see we're all packed up and ready to go. In our first video, we showed you the ferry journey from Portsmouth to Santander, which was fantastic. In this video, we want to show you a contrast where we have booked the Caen to Portsmouth ferry, which is much shorter and much cheaper, and just have a bit of a compare and contrast of the two experiences.
We have to be really honest with you, this video is not going as planned right from the start. We had grand plans of driving straight from the Spanish Pyrenees all the way up to Caen so that we could do a direct contrast. It's not turned out that way because the weather in the Pyrenees a few days ago was really bad, and they'd given out 36 hours of constant rain. So we're already partway into our journey.
Yeah, so we've already done 3.5 hours. We travelled from the Spanish Pyrenees, a town called Torla, and we are actually at Biscarrosse Plage, and we've had a fab 3 days by the seaside. We're counting that as part of the journey though, because this wasn't what we had planned to do. But yeah, we have had a fab few days here, and now we've got to get all the way up to Caen.
So what we want to do in this video is to give you a direct comparison between the Portsmouth to Santander ferry experience that we had 7 weeks ago and the drive up through France and the Caen Portsmouth ferry. It's obviously much cheaper, but it obviously takes a little bit longer. But we're not going to get into that. We're just going to get on the road, and then when we're on the road, we'll have a chat with you and catch up with you later. So the satellite navigation says that we are about 700 kilometres from Caen, and that's going to take us 7 hours. So we are going to break that up. Now, the French motorway system is normally really clear compared to the UK motorway system. However, the longer the journey you take, the more the chances of disruption, and we've just hit a 10-minute delay just because of a collision ahead. We're about 170 miles in, and it's not going too bad, but one thing I would say is don't underestimate the distance of driving across France. It might not look very much, so our trip up to Caen is 700 kilometres, but it is actually quite a long way. I'm not the world's most natural endurance driver, and it's all okay until it's not okay. So if the weather changes, it makes it much more difficult. If the traffic gets heavier, I'm a bit of a sleepy driver and I can't really pick it. So sometimes I can drive and feel fine, and then other times I can only be doing an hour and a half and then I'm really sleepy. And it's really difficult to sort of accommodate that. It is a long way. We do all the tricks of trying to brake early, and we're going to stop for lunch now, but yeah, don't underestimate it. I don't find it particularly relaxing. I know that loads of people do, and loads of people on the comments have said that they really enjoy the drive and the long distance driving. It's just something that I don't find that easy. Morning.
Morning.
It was quite a drive yesterday, and we covered about 320 miles, and in terms of driving time it was just under 6.5 hours, so not particularly quick. It didn't feel too bad, but it was reasonably challenging.
Yeah, one of the things we hadn't realised, actually 2 points. Firstly, we were travelling on a Monday and it was really quite heavy with lorries. I believe that lorries can't drive on the French toll roads and the motorways on a Sunday. And then secondly, we were travelling on the first day of the French school holidays on a Monday, and we described it as an equivalent to the mad rush in England to get down to the Cornish coast on the first day of the school holidays. It was really busy heading south. Didn't massively affect us. It was busy around Bordeaux, but if you were travelling south and doing this journey in reverse, you would have been stuck for hours.
So it's definitely a learning point to check the French school holidays. We know from skiing at February half term, they zone their holidays, whereas in the summer, the entire country breaks up on the same day. So yeah, definitely a Monday to avoid. But then Jackie found us this amazing park up.
It is absolutely wonderful. We found it through the Camping Car Air app, which we've just recently joined. It's €30 to join, but we've found some wonderful places with it. You can put in filters. So I was looking for somewhere that had a toilet because we don't have any facilities, and that had a shower because we've been staying on an air with no shower for the last 3 days. And it came up with this place. We're 20 minutes south of Le Mans. It was €15 for the night, which I think is a real bargain. We arrived pretty late. It was about 7 o'clock by the time we got here, but it's got two, what I'm assuming are maybe fishing lakes by it, and it's just really, really scenic. It's got a little kids' playground. It's got all the facilities of a campsite because it was an ex-municipal campsite, but the cost of a camping air.
Yeah, it's amazed us, the app. In terms of being able to filter for facilities, but also to be able to pre-book on the app.
Yeah.
It wasn't an issue for us because we knew that I think there was only 4 vans booked on last night. But you can pre-book, which in a lot of the airs, you've got to get there mid-afternoon, and when you're doing a transfer drive, it doesn't always work. But we are off early this morning, and we have got just a 2-hour drive up to Caen. We've got some important work to do before we get there. We're going to call off at the supermarket to get a few French beers, but also more important things for our family. Our family is obsessed with €1 French salad dressing, so we are going to get a boatload of that. And Jackie's mum has a particular favourite as well.
She does. Every time we come to France, I have to buy her 2 bottles of blackberry liqueur, which is called crème de mure, because she loves making a cur with white wine for her little tipple every night.
So it would not be worth our while going home if we went home without that. So we'll catch up with you later. We've got the van to pack up, and we will probably see you at the port.
So that's all of the essentials bought. Crème de mure for my mum, the salad dressing for mum and my sister, and for our new little kitten that Georgia's got, a flopping fish. What more could she want?
We've made it, we're at Caen, it's on time, as per usual. We are very, very on time, but we haven't had too much of a wait because they're boarding us really early, which is excellent. So I think what we'll do is, once we're on, we'll have a wander around the ferry, get some footage, and then chat to you when we're in our cabin.
A little bit of a false start. It was actually a queue to take us through passport control, and they've put us in another queue. It's now 20 to 5. The boat was supposed to leave at 4:30, and the ferry is still waiting to board. So we did set off, and actually we were only about half an hour late in the end. We've only got a couple of hours left until we disembark, and we've had a really good look around the ferry, and actually it's not been too bad at all.
No, to be really honest, it's a little bit more dated than the longer ferry crossings that we've done, like the Santona, but it's done exactly what we needed it to do, really.
Yeah, there are lots of sun decks and lots of chairs, and it's a really nice day out there. So we spent the first hour just chilling out on the deck, watching Caen disappear in the distance. There's a couple of different bars that you can get either coffees, teas or alcohol if you wanted from. And we've actually had a really nice meal. We went to the self-service cafeteria, and it had a menu for €16.50. You could have a starter and a main, or a main and a pudding. The food was actually lovely. I had a beef goulash, and I think because they were just about to close the restaurant for an hour, they gave me an extra big portion. I was a winner.
Yep. And I had steak and chips, which was really good, and the puddings were just excellent. A little bit odd about the restaurant shutting. We couldn't get our head around it, and it was lost in translation a little bit. So yeah, we'd ordered our food, and I think they were trying to hurry us along, and we were just dawdling along, and they actually shut the doors behind us. Yeah, so we'd been on the ferry maybe half an hour, and then they shut the restaurant for an hour. Bit weird, but
the food was great.
It was fantastic. And on the ferry, there's, as you would expect, a number of options. We've just wandered past the posh restaurant.
Oh, it is posh.
Yeah. And
fancy dancing.
There was a really long queue outside it as well. A little bit beyond our price range. But for a sit-down a la carte meal, there is that option. We obviously had the self-service, and then there is snack bar and food at the bar as well. So you're well catered for when you are on board.
And it is a long ferry journey. It's 6 hours. But actually, there seems to be quite a lot going on. So when we were out looking around the decks earlier, they had a quiz going on in the main bar area, and we've just gone and had a cup of coffee a couple of hours later, and they're just about to start a magic show as well, and they've had announcements for balloon making sessions with the kids. There seems to be a lot going on just to keep people entertained. We actually have got our cabin here, which has been amazing.
Just being able to have your own space, particularly when you're wandering around the ferry, because it is a long ferry, and just having somewhere to dump your stuff, it was really nice to just have a hot shower and get cleaned down, and a quiet space to come back to, because when you are on a long ferry, if you're out in communal areas and you're having to keep an eye on your gear all the time and things like that, the seats aren't necessarily out there that comfortable. They're designed to stop people lying on them. So having a cabin is a cheeky bonus, and even cheekier, it wasn't expensive.
No, I'd spied when we booked the ferry initially back in April that it was only £34. I was going to say €34. So it's £34 for this spacious cabin. Actually, I liked it when we arrived as well, that this is a two-person cabin, and this does turn into a bed, but it's actually just a really nice seating area for us for the 6 hours. It's been really comfy.
If we can work out the mechanics, we will show how another bunk comes out of the roof, but we've already spent about 20 minutes trying to get it down, so we're not going to do that just yet. But if we can work it out before we go, I'll put some B-roll over the top of our ingenuity of how it goes into a two-berth.
So joking apart, the cabin has been really good for us. We've been travelling for a couple of days. We did have an air last night that had a shower. It wasn't the greatest shower, but we did at least have a shower. And this is just a great way of us, one, relaxing, but two, just sort of waking ourselves up with a shower, because we're going to try and drive through the night to get back up to the Dales. It's a really long and not great journey travelling in the day, so we thought we'd try a different tack. We're refreshed, we've had food, we'll have had a bit of a sleep, we've had a shower, and hopefully we'll have quite a nice drive up to Yorkshire.
And that is a problem that is unique to us because we are so far north. If you were on the south coast and the boat docked at about 9:30 and you'd only got an hour to home, you wouldn't really need to worry about that. But for us, after 2 days of long travelling and then potentially an overnight drive home, we just wanted that bit of comfort.
We did have a B plan, or we have got a B plan, that you can stay overnight at Port Solent, and I'm pretty sure it's free. You just need to tell the officers there that you're staying, and there's a phone number to ring. So there is another option to do that, but we do think we're going to travel through the night because we've had a nice rest here.
When we set out thinking about this video, we wanted to produce a video that contrasted the two different ferries we've had based around our adventure. So 7 weeks ago, we took the longest ferry crossing that you can do from Portsmouth down to northern Spain and Santander. It's obviously 2 nights, and it's obviously the most expensive crossing. And then on our way back, we've decided to take the slightly shorter ferry crossing from Caen back to Portsmouth, but linked with that, we've got the associated drive across France. And trying to do a direct comparison has not been easy. We've made a few notes. We've tried to think about the areas that we can compare. So let's have a go and try and do some comparisons.
So the first thing we looked at was actually the amount of time that you would spend whichever way you travelled. And it actually works out pretty equal. You spend 2 nights on the ferry going from Portsmouth to Santander, and then you're in Spain and ready to go straight to wherever you want to go. We went to the Picos Europa, which was only an hour's drive. Time-wise, on our way back, we were in the Spanish Pyrenees, and it has taken us 2 days and 1 night, and we're going to arrive in England really late tonight. So we've almost got a similar amount of time that we would have spent on the ferry. So time-wise, it's about the same.
It is a long drive north, and best will in the world from the Spanish Pyrenees, the way we like to drive, which is not eyeballs out, and I think I've explained earlier on in the video that I haven't got the endurance to do that. It's definitely a 2-day drive, followed by the 6-hour ferry, and then a 6, potentially 7-hour drive back to the Dales. So there is no getting away from that, and there is an effect on the driver and there is an effect on the van. In terms of the drive, at the moment, it didn't feel too bad. It's quite easy driving in France. It's just getting the distance done. There's no general problems with traffic. The toll roads, which we chose to use this time, were really, really clear. It's just 2 long days.
As a passenger, it's actually, even though I'm not doing any of the driving, still really tiring, just sort of sitting there and trying to keep Richard entertained and keep him awake. And actually we liked, on the way down, getting the Santander ferry, that we just had a 2-day, almost like a little mini cruise, and then we were straight out and an hour's drive to wherever we wanted to go. There's also the cost on the vehicle.
Yeah, in terms of wear and tear, it's a lot more mileage. So we've got an awful lot of mileage on Nelson now. He's over 120,000 miles and he hasn't really missed a beat in that time. But there is obviously wear and tear. And there's an interesting one to do with your insurance mileage that we had to look into a little bit over the course of the last couple of years, and one of the reasons why we've had to change insurance companies.
Yeah, we actually aren't capped on our insurance. We can, I think, travel up to 25,000 miles. But a lot of insurance companies for motorhomes and campervans, you're capped at 15,000 miles driving. So if you're just doing the extra leg of driving from Caen down to Spain or from Calais down to Spain, you are actually adding a lot of extra miles to your van. It's just another little something to think about.
And we do know, in terms of the driving experience, from the comments that we've had on our previous videos, that lots of people enjoy the experience of driving across France, and we enjoy it as well. There is quite a split decision on toll roads versus non-toll roads. We've tried both, but on this occasion we just wanted to get up from Spain and back home as soon as possible, so we made the decision that we were going to use toll roads. If I can remember, I will find a link to a non-toll road video that we did a couple of years ago when we were driving down to the Alps, that's in sharp contrast, and that we actually enjoyed just as much.
Most people, and certainly for us, the biggest consideration when we booked our ferries was cost. We did take a hit getting the longer ferry from Portsmouth down to Santander, but we decided to save a bit of money going back from Caen to Portsmouth. I'm going to have to put my glasses on because I can't read any of my notes without them. We've looked at it in a couple of ways. We've looked at how much it would cost in diesel to get from Torla, which is in the Spanish Pyrenees, to Bilbao, and how much petrol we would have used to get from Torla up to Caen. It would have taken about 30 litres of diesel to do the 200 miles to Bilbao, and it would have taken about 87 litres of diesel to get from Torla to Caen. And we worked out that's about a difference of £80, so it would have cost us £80 more to get up to Caen, which we do need to add to the price of the ferry. The other thing we needed to add is that obviously we did a lot of miles and we had to have an extra night staying in France. We found a really great air. It was only £13.50 with showers and a toilet block, so that was fantastic. Usually actually we would use a free air, but we thought we needed a shower after a few days on an air without any showers. As we travelled through France and we broke up the journey, we did go through quite a few different toll booths, but the total for all the tolls was £56. Our total costs for us to drive to Caen, use the airs, all of the petrol, I've not included any wear and tear and insurance on the van, but the total costs were £349.80. If we'd got a ferry from Bilbao or Santander to get back to Portsmouth, that would have cost us about £700. So we've saved about £350, which is a huge saving. And for us, that was worth it. You know, we've really enjoyed this ferry experience. We've actually enjoyed the combination of both.
Yeah, it is, as Jackie says, a huge saving. And I think it's definitely worth the distance of driving. In terms of the costs, it's really economical. The only thing perhaps I'm a little bit nervous of is that we're only 2/3 into this journey and we've still got the drive up north to the Dales to come. So I'd probably give a more rounded opinion of that, but it would need to have some pretty strong reasoning to discount that £350 worth of difference in the overall cost.
So what would we do next time? I think personally we would still choose to get the ferry down to Santander because we liked the fact that we were straight into wherever we wanted to go in Spain or Portugal, and we didn't have that long drive, and it felt like a little bit of a mini cruise. But I did like the combination of this as well. Depending on where we wanted to end up in Spain, I think if we were further deeper in Spain or Portugal and wanting to get home, we probably would choose not to do the long drive.
Yeah, I think for us it would feel a little bit sort of self-indulgent because we often talk about the fact that we're cash poor and time rich. So we have got really as much time as we want to be able to make that journey up through France. So to try and save 350 quid, I think it's really worthwhile us doing that. And, you know, it might be a little bit of short-term pain, but we've got the time to be able to do that journey. And it would feel perhaps a little bit frivolous, though it is quite tempting to get on a boat, sleep, and then suddenly be back in Portsmouth.
When we first started looking at doing this video and we were doing a bit of research, there are obviously 3 different ways you could do it. You could do Dover to Calais, which is the cheapest option, or getting the tunnel with the car and the train. But for us, we discounted that because we just don't like the huge long drives, particularly because the focus of our holiday was we wanted to be in Spain and Portugal. You could have just done the ferry crossings, Cherbourg, Caen, Portsmouth, Poole. They're all sort of 6-7 hour ferries. A little bit more expensive than the Dover Calais, but not as expensive as getting the ferries to Spain. I think it's just where your priority is. Do you want to spend more money but have less driving? Do you want to save loads of money but have lots of driving?
So if you were coming to this video and you were wanting a direct answer, you're not going to get it because we have dodged it completely. And the reason why we've dodged the overall answer is that there isn't an overall answer. It comes down to your personal circumstances, your personal interests, and your personal finances. So if you like the drive across France and if you like going on the non-toll roads, then that's perfectly okay because you're probably going to save yourself quite a bit of money, although it's going to take quite a bit of time. Whereas if you have limited time and you want to get to Spain and you want to get back for work commitments or whatever, then you might need to think about investing in the more expensive routes, which will transport you in a little bit more comfort but with the added expense.
So that's it, the end of our 7-week adventures in Spain and Portugal. We've just got the tiny little matter now of that 6-hour, 7-hour drive back up to the Yorkshire Dales.
How bad could that be? We're not going to share that with you, but we will catch you sometime next week. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.